I am so excited because, well, I'm so happy that you guys enjoyed last week's live video. I thought it was a really good discussion. And today, I was having a conversation with Evelyn the other day, and we decided to come together and chat. And we know that a lot of you guys are at home right now and may need some background noise or some active discussion. Hi, Miss Maya Diva. Welcome, welcome from London. So we thought this would be fun. We thought this would be fun. So we have a topic assigned. We're just going to be chatting. A lot of the times when we're on the phone and we'll talk for hours about endless topics, we were like, let's just bring these phone conversations to YouTube, okay? So that's like the vibe for the day. And of course, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put it in the chat, and we'll answer them, and we'll just have a, a discussion about it. One thing that I noticed about last week is that, a few of you guys were saying that you guys don't have like a place to have these types of discussions. And so we've created that place right here. Okay. So get your tea, your water, your coffee, your wine, whatever it is that you drink. Come sit down and let's have a conversation. Um, so the topic that we assigned today is being you costing you, and that
Yes.
all started from a conversation that we had over the phone. I don't know, if you guys don't know, I started a new job, and I have really been trying to step outside of the box to network and get to know people. And that is outside of my character. I am an introvert. I tend to be more on the reserve side. And so I found myself pushing through that and acting out of character. And because I did that, I was able to make a connection um, with someone that is really valuable to me. But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't act out of character in that moment on that day. So that's how the whole conversation started. Evelyn, go ahead and weigh in.
Oh, so I mean, and I think very similar to me, like, I am a person, I think for my own experience, and I don't know if we talked about this when we were talking about this, but like I don't like to get up early. I consider myself I won't even say a night owl, but like a middle of the day, like from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. I'm rocking. Like that's my time.
Mm,
But and that's because I mean the careers that I've had over the years, like I've always worked like a second shift or something like that. And but being an entrepreneur and working from home, like that doesn't work because people are ending their work day just when I'm revving up. And so I had to really like battle with myself about like, well, I'm not a morning person. Okay, you cannot be a morning person, but like, is that really beneficial? And so I also had to challenge myself that this is who I am, or this is just how I am. I'm not a morning person. Like, so I've been seeing that pattern in my life. The older I get, the more I mature. Like, hey, I know you think you're like this, or you've been like this for so long, and even on stuff that's harmless, but is it costing me somewhere else?
right,
So. Mhm.
right. I didn't know you were a night for like a afternoon person. I am straight.
Yes.
When I wake up early in the morning, I am most productive between like 8 to 2. That's like my time.
Give me like 11 to 8, like 11 to 8, 1 to 10, I'm rocking. And so, I mean, and I think when I was in engineering, I worked in a manufacturing facility, and so I was on night shift originally, and then I went to second shift, which was like 1 to 11. And so then when I went into culinary, it was nights, weekends, and holidays, right? And so I don't know if that's just me or that's just what I have done for so long. So I'm just kind of programmed. So like challenging myself when there's no expectation, no punishment, no external accountability to get up in the morning, start my day in the daytime and not, like lay around all day. Like I had to really be like, you could call yourself not a morning person all you want to, but like it's gonna cost you somewhere else.
Hi, Miss Carter. That's true.
Yeah.
Let me put a pin right here because I realized I just assumed everybody knows you, right? So
Oh,
let's do the formal introduction, right? We just got to talk formal introduction. So if you guys do not, I'll give you guys like the formal version and then the informal version. So
informal.
Evelyn is all things. She is a jack of all trades. She's an entrepreneur. She's a business strategist. She is a chef. She is a friend. She is a daughter. She is just very wise, very intuitive, very electric personality. And ever since I met her, I've been knowing her online. I met her online. She has a YouTube channel, two YouTube channels, right? Or three, four, five, two.
Just two.
Okay, two YouTube channels, Chef Evelyn and then Evelyn Inc. We met back when I think she was like Miss Natural Chocolate back then and doing natural hair, right? When we were both doing natural hair. And it just, that's where it started. And then we've always had conversations through there. And then in 2000, a few years ago, I reached
16?
out to her. Is it 16 or 17?
It was one of those two. I think it was 16.
16. So in 2016, after being online friends, I reached out to her because I was coming to Dallas. And so I told her, I said, hey, I'm coming to Dallas and I'm staying at your place. Hey, Jam Sharice. That's literally how it happened. So Angelic Impressions, what's up? She was here last week too.
Hey, Angelic.
So then so yeah, that's what happened. So then we went over her place. We literally talked all night, barely slept, right? And it just was a good time. It just was a good time. So after that, that's probably the beginning of our in real life friendship, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then then after that, we still remain in contact. And then I called you when I was getting married. And I said, Evelyn, I need you to be my eyes. I need you to be my hands. I need you to be my brain. When I am not there, I just, listen, I don't know if you do this or you don't do this, but I need you to do this for me. All right. And she said, yes, ma'am. So, yes. So, she was over the design elements of my wedding and helped to bring the vision together. So it was a good time, and she did great at it and helped everything just to run smooth. No complaints there. So that's us. That's how we met. That's been our friendship. And what I can honestly say is she's one of the real ones. All right, not to shade anybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
But she's one of the real ones out here. So Evelyn, I appreciate our friendship, and I'm glad that we're able to do this together.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like, I don't know why we haven't done something like this before.
I know, right?
But I think we both have been like going back and forth with our content for a long time.
Yes.
Like just trying to find like where we were going to land. Like I think we both went through that transition of what we started with and what we think people want from us versus being like, you know what, this is what I'm talking about. And that's just what it's going to be. So, oh, thank you, Miss Carter. Thank you so much. But thank you, Felicia.
You know what? I feel like people go through that in general, like in life. You know what I mean? Where you have that period where, am I who my parents say I am? Am I who my friends say I am? And if not, then who am I? And I think that process on YouTube sort of happened where you started one place and it's like, well, are people going to want to watch, natural hair videos? Or are they going to watch, lifestyle content? Or are they going to want to watch empowerment or motivation? Will they leave? Will they stay? All of these questions, like do people even like these videos? And what I've learned about YouTube is there are videos about everything. And there's an audience for just about anything.
I'm just gonna admit this. I can't believe I'm gonna admit this on camera because the only person in my life who knows that I watch these videos is my mother. Let me tell you, I watch car detailing videos.
Really?
Like these extreme, like dirty, nasty. And here's the thing, I can't bring myself to actually click the subscribe button, but I just let the algorithm like bring it to me. And it's only one channel that I watch, and every time he drops a video, every Saturday, I be like, let me get me something to eat and watch this nasty car. Like you'd be like, people really live like this. But my point is, there is something for everybody. Like his channel like gets millions of views, and I'm like, we're watching him clean somebody's nasty car. Like,
Really? Shout out to Lisa Marie. Thanks for joining. No judgments,
here.
Chrissy. No judgments here. Yeah, that is real. That is real.
Yes, so that's just my little guilty pleasure.
I think what do I watch that is like so from time to time, you know, a little bit of like celebrity gossip. I'll watch that from time to time. Yeah. It's been a few months. Oh, I was gonna shout her name out, but I probably wouldn't do that. But from time to time, when things happen, I'm like, ooh, let me like when I think it was Fantasia, especially when the topic is like really. I think it was Fantasia who got in trouble when she was on the Breakfast Club and she was talking about the roles in her home. Did y'all watch that? When she was talking about how, her husband is the man of the home and she's the woman or whatever, people were like, what is this? This is 2020. The woman can do anything and be anything, and people had real issues with her commentary. So I was really interested to see and to hear of what everybody was saying about it and stuff like that. So every once in a while, when things like that happen, I'll fall into a hole of like these gossip, channels or whatever, commenting on what happened. So
I almost fell into a hole of the pimple. Who said that? Pimple poppers. Like I listen, and I had to stop. I was like, this is not who I want to be. Particularly the blackhead ones, I was like, you know what? Never mind. I was like, I'm not even going to continue to watch these because I don't want them in my algorithm. So I literally went into my history and deleted them out of my history. And I was like, as satisfying as they are to watch, like, do I really want to tell people, girl, I be watching them pop them pimples? Like, I don't want to do that.
I see pedicure videos. Oh, I can't. Seeing people clean their toes.
Mm-mm. Oh, see, I'm not the only one. Miss Carter with the pimple popping. I can't do it no more. Nope. Now watch when we log off, I'm gonna have a pimple popping video in my feed because Facebook and everybody is listening. Like,
So let me ask you this, Evelyn. What did
okay.
you think? Because Felicia said that was her truth, and there's several people who watched that. What did you think about that? Like, what did you think about her views, Fantasia's views, and did you feel like it was too traditional? Did you feel like it was out of pocket, or did you think like she hit the nail on the head?
So two things. One, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But I heard about it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say this with a grain of salt because I don't know specifically what she said. Let me say this. I do think, and I'm not married or anything like that, I do think there is a formula for success in male-female relationships. I do believe that there is a design for success. And I think with any design, there is some room for interpretation, but in general, there's a baseline. And without going too deep, like men have certain needs from women and women have certain needs from men. And one of those needs is domestic support. Now, people like that can get a little touchy with people, but that can look differently in different homes and manifest itself differently. So if she was kind of on those lines, which I don't know exactly what she said. Let me put the disclaimer for anybody watching the replay. I don't know exactly what she said, but if it was along those lines, then I probably lean closer to that because I'm of the mindset of, yes, a woman can and is capable of doing anything. That doesn't mean she should. So that's kind of where my thought process. So yes, we're capable of doing amazing things. That doesn't necessarily mean we should or we have to.
I feel I don't want to use this example because you're a chef, right? So forgive my, anyway.
No, go ahead.
So, you know how they say They can't be two cooks in one kitchen. You know
Mm-hmm. Too
what I
many cooks in the kitchen.
Yes, can't be well, there's this Haitian sort of saying, it's like can't be two adults in one household. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody has to be the child, somebody has to be the adult, and that's what I feel like there are parts to play, right? It doesn't mean one is higher than the other or is more valuable than the other. Just like how those sort of body functions together in one, in that if one is lacking, it compromises the whole. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's sort of how I feel about relationships and men, women relationships. It doesn't mean that one is less, but um, everyone has their lane. Everyone has their role. That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm. I have a good friend. The way she puts it is equal in value, different in function.
Mm, I like that.
Equal in value, different in function. And I think once I got that, like, I don't know. Here's the thing. I really enjoy the way men function. Um, I mean, once you understand it to a point, like, I don't know if we will fully ever understand each other, but like once you understand to a point, it's a beautiful thing to watch, and just to let them do what they do so well,
Mm-hmm.
that even though I can do what they can do, there are certain things that they can do that I can do that they can just do better, and vice versa. And so it's just, I'm like, have at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, do your thing.
Yep.
I don't know. I enjoy that. So, um, listen, see, we done already.
I already told you. I anticipated that it would happen. You know what I'm saying? But
Just
yes, guys,
not,
if you
not
have
special
any
word.
questions, go ahead and put it in the chat, or anything or any topics that you want us to talk about.
Yes.
Let me pull up YouTube on my phone too, because I just want to make sure. And sorry, guys, if I keep looking down, because I'm kind of working at the same time as I'm doing this. Oh, look
We
at
got
us. Okay, we cute.
Lee.
Okay.
Oh,
Like, what? Okay.
like, I keep trying to put his camera back, but that's got, it's like in my face. I'm like, oh,
It doesn't look like it's in your face.
okay.
Here. Oh,
Oh,
that's
I see the comments on the screen now.
yeah. I put it there. I was like, let me test
Okay.
that out. That's I wanted to see it.
Fancy, fancy.
But yeah, I know. I know. In the household that I grew up in, um, you do see that temporarily one might have to act outside of the traditional role, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately it's about the team, it's about the unit, and making sure that the unit is functioning at its best. Just like in the body, if one is lacking, another system will compensate. It can't do it for
Mm-hmm.
long because that's not what it was meant to do.
Come, oh, you just said a word, but go ahead. Ooh, okay, go ahead. This is how I called me, y'all. Like, literally, this is how go ahead and preach, Pastor Pat.
But yeah, that's not what it was meant to do. So eventually, you know, we're gonna have to get right back into our roles, right? But if as long as we prioritize the unit, though, as long as we keep the unit in mind, we'll make it over that hump, and then everybody go right back to their lane. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's not so hard and fast. Where, well, that's not me, so you gonna have to figure it out. If you get laid off, I'm not gonna be like, well, you got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, but but yes, I can do some overtime. I can do whatever. But this is not. You are the provider, so I'm gonna need you to. You know what I'm saying? We can't function like this for long, right?
Well, because
But
think about it, it's the same way. Like, if something is compensated, it'll keep going, and it'll keep going and keep going, but then it'll start to break down.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what has happened with a lot of people. Like, yes, you could do it and you were capable, because I think we all need to be well-rounded adults and human.
Right.
But then when you live in something that's not your design,
Mm.
start to malfunction.
But what I can say is I feel like women sometimes don't know or don't understand what avenues that they excel in, what they were designed to do, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Just like for career, there's certain things I wouldn't choose to do
Mhm.
because that's literally not me. You know what I mean? But because we're women, we're super women, right? We can do anything and we can function temporarily, but not at our best. You know what I mean? And so a lot of people are out here trying to prove their value by trying to be men. You can
I'm
prove
gonna exit the chat
your
because so you just gonna come out and snatch edges on the first live together. I mean, I should have got some coconut oil or some castor for these edges. Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
Look, Miss Carter says I agree with letting a man be a man too, but some of them just raggedy. LOL. Yes, they are.
But some women out here raggedy too,
Are
though.
some raggedy women out here? There are.
But we don't want to talk about it. I think something like we have this phrase: "Keep your eyes on your own plate." Like, yes, there are some raggedy men. Let unraggedy men check raggedy men. But there are some raggedy women, so we need to keep our eyes on our own paper. Okay, worry about us because we cannot control them. We can influence them, but we cannot control them. And I think the frustration comes in where it's like, oh yeah, I may have this, but you're like, it's that whole like back and forth, like, yeah, I may be wrong, but you're more wrong.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to that.
Mm-mm.
I keep my eyes on my paper.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
There has to be accountability. There has to be accountability on both sides. Yes.
Yes.
And Angelic Impression says, feel that I feel that the more you are aware of who you are individually, the better you can function collectively.
A
And
word.
that is correct. The key is not perfect. We all have areas to work on. Yes, this is true.
Mhm.
It's being aware of that. The first things you have to be aware of your weaknesses. So,
Well, and I think that's where personal development comes in. I think we've talked about this before that you have to continuously be working on yourself and cultivating yourself so that you know what your strengths are. Otherwise, you'll just be kind of stumbling through life and you'll figure some stuff out and some stuff you'll have a tendency to do, but you won't know why. But I think the more that you spend on your own paper, the more you are aware of this is where I'm not the best.
mm-hmm.
This is where I'm amazing. This is where I'm average. And lean into this is where I'm the best. Like I have this quote on my desk right here. It says, work hard at what comes easy.
Mm.
And I got this out of the book Atomic Habits that I read earlier this year. But I literally was like, why am I trying to work hard at things that are a struggle versus working hard or diligently at the things that come to me easily? So, but you got to know yourself to know what comes to you easily and stay in your lane.
Right. Which doesn't come easy to some. So we
True.
have a question. Um, Here, let me put it up here if I could do that. It's from Mary O. A complete change in topic here. I'd love to know your views on friendship. How do you nurture your friendships, and how do you know when it's time to let a friendship go?
Well, do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Um, Let me. Well, go ahead. Go ahead, girl. You got it. You got it.
Okay, so for me, let me just start with the first part of the question, which is what. Okay, the first part is what is my view on friendships? My view on friendships is that they are a relationship to be cultivated like any other relationship in your life. Um, I don't think you can have any relationship on autopilot. Um, Family, friend, significant other, you name it. I don't think you can have any relationship on autopilot. So my first response to your question is you have to be intentional. Like you have to cultivate that. The second thing is how do I nurture it? Let me just be really transparent. I have a list of my friends, and I think about every year. I use do I have it in here? I don't. I use the Power Sheets by Laura Casey,
Mhm.
and one of the things that she talks about is like, how do you want to tend to your relationships? So for me, I have friends that are local, and then I have friends that are not local. And so for my friends that are local, I am trying to do what I call friend dates with them at least 6 times a year. So that means every other month we're getting together, we're having dinner, we're going over to somebody's house, something just to keep us connected. For my friends that are not local, I'm trying to FaceTime, I'm trying to talk, text, send a card. And I think for me, I had to decide what kind of friend I wanted to be.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm a friend that leans in during the hard times. I had to make that decision. It's very uncomfortable to do sometimes. I had a friend, I just found out today that her sister passed, right? So I know, right, that that's going to take some effort out of me. I'm going to have to rearrange my schedule to figure out how to lean into her now because her sister passed. And so I know that, like, I'm long-winded, so I tell Patricia she needs to cut me off sometimes. But um you have to decide who you want to be in a friendship, regardless of the other person, right? And that this is just the kind of friend that I want to be. You know, I want to remember birthdays. I want to be there for the things that matter. I want to talk about the hard stuff. Yes, I want to laugh and kiki and ha ha, but I've decided I want to be that kind of friend. Which means I also can't have 25 because you can't do that with 25 people, right? And then the last part it says, how do you know when it's time to let a friendship go? That's hard because I have had to let friendships go, but I my concern when I hear questions like that, and I'm not saying this is what you're asking, is we have a very disposable society, and I just don't think people are disposable. I think you have to really evaluate that there are going to be difficulties in any relationship, and you have to decide, are y'all at an impasse? Do y'all just need a break? Were there not healthy boundaries? I think there's like 5,000 steps before you get to you're just not my friend anymore. So, okay, I'm done. Patricia?
I I agree with you 100% in terms of friendships and sort of what they mean. What I had to realize about myself is I wasn't a great friend. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had to come to the realization that I wasn't a great friend. I wasn't what I expected other people to be to me. Like I was that friend, kind of like how you were saying, where major events, whether there be highs or lows, I'm there. But that middle area, I struggle with that. You know, if it's like, Patricia, listen, so and so passed, I need you. I the next flight out, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm getting married, or I'm graduating. Girl, when is it happening? Defending a dissertation, I'm there. But then that middle, I
Mm-hmm.
was absent. I'm getting, caught up in life, that, checking in to say, hey, how are you? How's life treating you? That checking in, I lack that. And I appreciate that from other people, and so I had to listen, you have these high standards, you gotta be able to live up to them. But I can't do that for everybody, like you said. And so making that choice and going hard for those 5, 10 people rather
Mm-hmm.
than overextending myself to people who don't care that much about me. Um, so, and then another thing you were saying with um, the disposing friends thing. Can I hear you, Evelyn? Are you there?
I'm here, I'm listening.
Okay, okay, okay. It's just the way the sound's working.
Okay.
I actually, so Mary, who asked this question, I do feel like friendships are disposable, right? It's not one of those things where you just toss aside easily, but I do feel like very often people do overstay their welcome in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to. It's just like there's things that you don't actually have to. And there are people who've been in my life where I've had to pray, and I'm just like, God, is this an assignment? Right? Is this an assignment? Because if it's not, I'll really just pass. And there have been people where God is like, I need you to keep reaching out. I need you. This is not about you right now. This is a work that's being done. I'm like, okay, like if I have to, but if not, bye. That's literally how I am. My husband doesn't get how I could be like that. He's just like, no, you need to have a discussion. I'm like, why do I have to have a discussion about whether I'm going to continue to let you be in my life? No, it is done. It is finished. But some people are different. He is very much so a closure person. I'm a very much so the door closed. That's how you know it's done. Like, it's just that's just how it is. That's how. Let's not drag this out. Let's not drag this out. In dating, it worked great for me because it was like, oh, I don't really like you, and I don't think this will work. The end. So, but that's how I feel about it, Mary.
Like that with friends. Like I used to be like, it's a wrap. Until I had it done to me. And I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Like a friendship of like 13, 14 years. And I was just like, so I think I'm in the middle. So when I said it's not disposable, I'm not saying that it's never disposable. I think particularly when you get to deciding that you're going to be that friend that's going to be in the middle, I think some fall off by the wayside anyway because they can't make that trip. You can't be that, like you said, with 25 people. I'm somewhere in the middle. I used to have the cutoff spirit real bad. Like I used to just like
pray for me, pray for me.
But I think also as I've gotten older, I've realized that some of those could have been resolved with just a conversation and we would have been fine. Or that it was a bigger issue, mainly lack of boundaries on both of our parts. Or unrealistic expectations when you have like one person that you thought was going to be your friend and everything, like like you put all your eggs in one basket. And so realizing that, so when I say there's a lot of steps in between there, usually if there's an issue happening, that's a symptom of something that's probably been underlying for a long time that somebody hasn't addressed. I had that happen with a friend not too long ago, and it was like we still ain't all the way right, but it was years of just little stuff under the rug that we never discussed. And so it was just like, what we gonna do now? So that was a good question.
I will say this. I'll give an example. I'm trying not to, I have two examples, but I'm gonna try to keep the names out. But I had one particular friend where every time um, she would ghost me. Let's put it like that. She would ghost me. And at first I thought it would be because it just so happened to be that she was in like a rough patch. So I'm like, okay, everybody goes through tough situations. And so I'm like, hey, what's going on with you? I'm not hearing from you. I'm going through something. And a lot of times she was, you know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, well, I want to be there for you. Let me know what you need. And it got to a point where we had our little dates or whatever. We were having these dates. And we would be good for a little bit, then we would fall off. And when I'm not talking about like a week or two or a month or two, I mean like 6 to 8 months would pass by. And this is someone that I really considered like close to me, And, there were things that happened. She'd forget my birthday or she would forget this here and there. But it's like, oh, she called me the next day like, I'm so sorry. It was yesterday, but whatever. And so I believe in between me cutting you off, I'm very long suffering. But then when I get to the point where it's done, it's just done. There's literally no more discussion now because I done gave you 50,000 times, even if it was my head. And that's a problem that I have, and I'm very aware of that. 50 million thousand chances. After that, I'm done. The other example I have is a girl who we just are not supposed to be friends, right? We had a moment. And in theory, I love the idea because she has such a strong spirit. She's just so talented. She's into the same things I'm into in social media and everything like that. Just a wonderful spirit, a wonderful, just powerful Christian woman. And like you want it to work because it should work. You know, in
They
my
don't.
head, like it just should, like it should, and we've fell off. And these were one of the relationships where I did stop and have a conversation, like, "Hey, this is how you've hurt me. This is how I've hurt you. Let's reconcile." And we've had those reconciled conversations, and after a point, you know, she really hurt me, you know, in a way that is just really difficult to
Mhm.
forgive. And I said, and then without apology, without, so I said, you know what? No, no, like that's enough. That's enough. And I just walked unaware of, just walked away. You call, oh hey, how you doing? Okay, haven't heard from you. I know it's been a while. Okay, click, and that's it.
Right.
that,
Like I ain't mad,
that
but we're good.
I'm not mad, but this is literally not working. You know what I mean? And I don't have to. I don't have to. And it doesn't have to be ugly. I can see you in the street. I wish her I wish her well. But I just can't. Okay, so I have to ask, oh, what lipstick are you wearing, Patricia? Is it still on? It's Velvet Teddy by MAC. Isn't it cute? Yeah, she's working them curls, girl.
Oh, like a fight.
Working them curls. Did I miss any questions? Let me scroll up a little bit. Oh, Gab says maybe it's okay to be a high low. Maybe it's okay to be one or the other, the high or the low, and the middle ground friend.
So okay, so
Go ahead.
go. No, I was gonna say I didn't say this when we were talking earlier, but I do struggle with the middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to be the friend that you were like all or nothing. Like you were either everybody was in the inner circle or you were just completely out. And so I kind of have, this is gonna sound bad, but it's true. I have tiers of friends.
Yeah.
Right. So I have some friends that I'm only there for the highs and the lows. Now, this is my own personal rule. If I'm gonna be there for the highs, then I need to be there for the lows.
Right.
Um, but if I'm doing those in balance, I don't necessarily have to be there for the everyday. So I have friends like that. So I have a friend that went to church with me. Like we don't talk on the phone. We don't text back and forth. When her mama died, I was there. When her son was born and she got married, I was there. And then occasionally we'll get together, but we don't talk on the phone. We don't chat it up. We're not like sending each other private messages on social media. But I will say this, just like I don't think it's, for me, it's not okay to only be the high friend. It's also not okay for people to expect you to only be the low friend because I'm not your emotional trash can.
Right.
Like you cannot call me and dump and then ride out. And then when you're having an amazing time, I never hear from you. And then when life is trash and you want to emotionally vomit again, I'm not there. So it's, you either gonna be the middle ground friend and I don't really expect you for the highs and lows, or you're gonna be the high and low friend and I don't expect you for the middle ground or somewhere between. But like, yes, okay, I went off on a tangent again.
No.
I just listen. Oh, and I was gonna say this, Patricia, when you were talking about you being like you don't have to. Like I remember Bishop T.D. Jakes said something, and I was like, this is so true because this has happened to me with people on the internet that like I really like. I love them on the internet. I've met them in person, or just feel like we probably could connect in some way. And he was like, based because of his, I guess, popularity or whatever. Those are my words, but he meets a lot of really interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I would love to be friends with them. He was like, some of them, I'm like, oh, I really would love to be friends with them. He was like, I just don't have the bandwidth to do it. And for me, I'm kind of at that place in my life where if I make room for you on the friend bench, like you really doing a lot because I'm at capacity. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I've had people that I can tell want to be my friend. And I'm like, I would, but I can't do it the way I want to do it. So I'm gonna have to keep you on you the real cool associate. That I like, hey girl, how you doing? Oh my God. And and then let me just, okay, this is so random, but let me say this. I had this one lady, so sweet, but I have like spidey sense on people who are extra needy. And I'm not the best at returning text messages and calls in a timely fashion. Let me just think that. Okay. Patricia knows this. And I remember telling her, because of the way that she was contacting me, I was like, hey, listen, I think you're super cool. I think we get along great. But because of what you need, I probably would end up hurting your feelings if we were actually friends.
Mm.
Because I'm just not like I'm nobody's emergency contact. Let me put it like that. Like I'm like not that person. So you just again that goes back to knowing yourself, right? And I just told her like I think you're great, but for what I can tell you kind of need me to be on the dime, and I'm so not that friend.
Yeah.
To be
That
them
goes with
passed out, and I'd be like, oh, you called?
sorry. Sorry. But you were saying something that I wanted to comment on. Oh, I want to comment on Gab's sort of comment in that um obviously you can't do everything and be everything for everyone. But I realized personally I was absent in the middle for everyone. You know what I'm saying? Just because it was like a few years ago in my life where I was living in New York. I was living like the probably just the fast life, the most busiest time of really my life. You know, I just pivoted in my career a little bit. I was a full time grad student. Of course, just getting to know people in the city, trying to find a new church home, and every once in a while traveling home for this and that. It just was a really busy time for me, and I just was forgetting people in the middle, you know, forgetting to check in and forgetting to be a good friend. And I looked at myself and I'm a horrible friend right now. And so I have those people that I've sort of decided in my mind, like these are the people that get the fullness of what it means to be, and not in a, you know what I mean, like the fullness of friendship. You know what I'm saying? For me, like all three, right? The high, the low, and the middle, right? And so that's what I have to say about that. But Miss Carter has a question. So, do your tiers mix? Like, can they all get together for your birthday or mother event and there be no drama? I'm afraid my tiers won't mix. So, this is a good question. Okay. I used to be the type of person that kept tiers or categories of people together. You know what I mean? So I would have like I would do a little dinner after church for my birthday, and those for my church friends. Then I would go over here, and this party over here would be for my school friends. And you know what I mean? I used to be like that, and it's like they can't mix. But I've gotten to a point in my own life that I am who I am, right? And there are different, I want to say faces to me, but I'm the same person. And
Mm-hmm.
so if y'all all here to support me, they all just gonna come together and it's gonna be okay. But because you guys are all connected to me, there is something that should connect to each other, if that makes sense. And that to me starts with being authentically you no matter where you are, right? And I realized that I wasn't authentically me no matter where I was. You know, I would be, and this is like a real example. This is like a real example I'm about to give you. But I would be out at the Cheesecake Factory, something like that, with my church people, and I would order a water and some pasta. Then I would go with my friends and I would order a martini and some fish. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't order martini if I was with my church friends. But now I don't care who's at the table. My parents, my friends. If I want a glass of wine, I'm having a glass of wine because that's who I am, and I'm not concerned about how you see me. Like I have my own sort of beliefs and I stand in that. And so you can challenge it and we can have a conversation, but I'm being authentically me no matter where I go. And if I'm doing that, then there should be something that should connect my friends that they can exist at least in a room for one night for my birthday or for an event of some sort. My wedding, for instance. You know what I mean? That's how I see it.
See, let me tell you what's so interesting because I have had the opposite journey,
Mm.
which is I used to mix them all together. Now, the reason why I don't is it's not because they can't mix, it's because as an introvert, it's exhausting for me at my birthday to talk to you, talk to you, talk to you, talk to you, talk to this group. And so I don't mix just because I don't end up having a good time.
Mm.
Not because I'm not myself, because listen, then my mama tell you I came out the womb with the this is who I am personality. But I mean, it's gotten me in lots of trouble in my life, but here I am. But as an introvert, I found that when I got together, I was their only connection point. And maybe it's because we were younger, maybe people were less secure in who they were. And maybe if I did it again now, but like somebody asked me this year for my birthday, which is in January, they were like, "Oh, are you gonna get all your friends together?" I was like, "Girl, nah." I was like, you know how exhausting that is to me? First of all, I don't like to plan my own birthday, which is a whole thing because I'm an only child and I'm an introvert. So there's that. And so I was like, I got to get the college people together and the church people together, and then my people that I just met randomly together, and then I got to get my old work people together. I was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Now, do I think they could exist in a room? Absolutely. I don't think I've ever had the issues of my friends not getting along, because even when I've had friends that weren't necessarily fans of other sets of my friends,
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have a level of maturity of, but we don't have no beef. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I just never have had those kind of relationships where I had one friend that hated another friend. I've never had that. I've had friends who have very different ways of being. And so one group will either be quiet or one group will be dominant. But like, I don't think I've ever had people where they didn't get along. And I think, to Patricia's point, that's just a reflection of my personality. There are things about me that, like, parts of my personality that my friends don't love, right? And so the friends who match up with that piece probably are not going to be their favorite people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I've never had like friend drama, because I don't know how to, like, I don't know how you can have. I mean, I guess it's possible, but like two sets of friends that just absolutely don't like each other, I would be like, oh, I ain't got time for this. I don't want to be in the middle of that. Y'all go work that out. So
It could happen easily, I feel like, if you are being one way with one person, literally two-faced or three-faced. Like, you will literally being one way with a group of people and a completely different other way with somebody else. And so that's why I found that when I'm being me, no matter where I am, those people will connect. And a good example of that is my wedding day, my wedding party. You know what I'm saying? People they just had a good time. It does. Some of them, were hanging out like, hey, I'm actually going to the spa with your cousin next week. And I'm like, oh, okay. They met at my, you know what I mean? During the whole wedding experience. You know what I'm saying? And so, I feel like that is also a reflection of who I am. I had to drop the people that did not reflect me, right? And doesn't mean they have to be just like me or whatever, but they should be able to have, again, a level of maturity, like you said, to be able to exist in one room and have some sort of common ground. And eventually, and someone pointed this out, birthday after wedding, after baby shower, after this, they'll get to know each other. And they're just like, hey, I remember you from last time. Like, get comfortable, because these people about to be here. You know what I'm saying?
oh, we done missed a whole slew of comments. Wait a minute. Okay.
I know.
I feel nowadays there aren't no friends that cool with you for a reason. Oh, I don't. Okay, I don't have that experience.
Let's see. There was someone that said something. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to say about what something you said though. You were like, it's how it's draining to have as an introvert. Yes. And I think that's not like a friend mixing issue. It's an introvert problem, right?
Yes.
Because especially if you have that personality where you want to make sure everybody's good. So it's like, oh, we're supposed to having a good time. Let me go over here and let me go over there. And by the end, you're just like, ooh, I just want everybody to go home and I just need some time. So what I've learned, because I like to host, but I don't like to host, if that makes sense. Like, I like to cook the food and get the people over and have the right music and just the right theme and everything. But it's almost as if I like to step away from that and just watch it happen. Like, I want to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So what I have are what I call, what we would call, like, good mixers. You know what I'm saying? To the bowl. People like my husband who will talk to anybody, who will just go here and go there. They don't care if they know you or don't know you. And I make sure I invite those people. Like, yes. Sally keep my job. I don't know her that well, but I know she'll find somebody to talk to. And just invite them. Or people in my life, like my sister, who's also an introvert, but she loves me. And I'm just like, I just need you to help me work the room. And to take the load off of me. But to be intentional about that, because I know myself. And I don't want to be stressed out. And I don't want to be. It's very easy. We had my sister had a dinner party the other day, and I did that for her. She was like, "Come over, help me, come early." Because we left the host, but then 5 minutes before you have that social anxiety. You're trying to get everything perfect. And I just need your emotional support. I just need. So I played that role for her. So I purposely put those things in place so I don't get stressed out.
I love
Yes,
it.
facilitating the events, because I can't worry about everything. I can only worry about just a few things, and the social piece. Hey, Nurse Cynthia, welcome.
Hey,
Hey,
Rashida.
Rashida, welcome. Good to have you. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. That I think it's exhausting because you are an introvert, and not necessarily because your friends might not find their way, or they'll, have drama or
They
whatever.
don't have drama. It's just me. Like, it was a lot of y'all.
All in this room.
All eyes on me. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a talker, but listen. Oh, Miss is it Liberian or Librarian? Liberian lady said this is good. Oh, yay! I'm so glad you're enjoying this. This is what we kiki and ha ha and behind closed doors. Okay.
I told you guys in the beginning, I want it to be like one of our phone conversations and this is literally like how one of our phone conversations, like that's exactly how it is. So it's good to bring you guys in that. Would you guys have any other questions?
We should listen. You might need to change the title of this because I think we talked about this title for like 37
I
seconds.
know, like 5 seconds, right? Can I change the title while we're talking? I don't know if we can change the title while we're chatting.
Yes.
Let's see.
But listen, the food has to be good to keep everybody occupied. Listen, there's a formula to entertaining. People who entertain know that there's a formula. You got to have the environment has to be right.
Mm-hmm.
But that's part of being a woman. I'm not going to reopen that can, but
you can just pop it open.
Listen, we talked about this, okay? We talked about this. But I think, let me just say this. I think we've talked about this part, that the part of being a woman, at least a feminine woman, is being very sensual, not sexual, sensual, which means that we have the gift to stimulate all the senses. And when you're entertaining, it's super important to be firing on all senses. That's like, I guess women are about the experience, whereas men are about results. And so I think that's why we're natural like entertainers, because we know how to create that experience. Like when people say it's a 5 sensory experience, I think we're natural. Well, when we're healthy, we naturally create those environments, whether it's entertaining, whether it's our home with our spouse, home with our kids, our own space. We talked about this because I was like, when people used to come to my apartment, they'd be like, oh, it's so relaxing in here. And I'm like, girl, that's by design. Okay, that's intentional. But you know how I feel about intentionality. So
how do you feel about intentionality?
I feel like you need to be intentional in every single area of your life, point blank, period, the end.
Yes.
Every area.
It would segue into the curated versus collected conversation.
Because here's the thing, and I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but given what's happening on planet Earth right now, mm-hmm. you can tell the areas of people's lives that they have not cultivated. That's no judgment. It's just an observation. Mm-hmm. Where they've just been kind of on autopilot, and now they're having to be intentional. I'm amazed, and this is just from a culinary point of view. Like, this is not even about being a chef, about the people who are like, I don't know how to feed myself if I'm not ordering out. Like, where they do that at? Like,
people.
I bet they go put home.
I didn't know people like that existed until today, until this whole situation.
You said what?
I didn't know people like that existed until this whole situation.
Yes, like I went into the grocery store and I was like, the fresh produce section is full.
Welcome. Sorry.
That's like the fresh produce section is full, and I'm like, fam, y'all need you need raw fruits and vegetables for enzymes, fam. Like, I don't understand. Like, people are like struggling to feed themselves, and I was like, it's not like there's a shortage of food. Like, if we were having like a shortage of food issue, that'd be a different thing. Y'all just don't know how to cook.
Yep.
Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. I'll say that for my Chef Evelyn channel because I how you like that's like saying you don't know how to brush your teeth.
Seriously, someone said to me, I don't know what I'm gonna do because I haven't done grocery shopping in years. I go out to eat every night to said restaurant. They know me. I order about the same thing every night. And I was like, what? Like, is this a real thing? And she was like, yeah, I guess I have to go to the grocery store. And I just was shocked that this actually happens. What are your thoughts? Ooh, girl, we got a question.
Oh.
We got a question. Let's see. What are your
I
thoughts on feminine energy? I see a lot of videos about it. And let me tell you something. I don't like all of them. And I don't feel like all of them are right. So, feminine energy, well, I know, Evelyn, you'll touch on that part, so I won't even mention it.
okay.
Feminine energy is not magic, it's natural. Okay? It's not.
Wait a minute. You, pause right there. Can we just put a pin right there? Let me just say this, and I normally try not to cut Patricia off. Okay, I listen, but I want to say this before she continues. Please don't lose your train of thought. There's a difference between feminine energy and feminine manipulation. And some would call feminine manipulation magic. Others would call it witchcraft. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. It is not magic, it's natural. Okay? It's natural. And so I know you'll touch on that, so I'll just I'll tuck that one away. Okay? But the other piece that I don't like about it too is the focus on the external. While there has to be intentionality in those things, in the way you smell, in your gestures, in the way you dress, and all of those things, yes. But it doesn't start there. It starts in here. You know what I mean? Those are my thoughts. Those are my general thoughts.
Oh, I guess you're teeing that up for me.
Because I know you have a few things to say. Because we've had this conversation before.
Oh, we've had this conversation. Number one, I think somebody said this, femininity, I'm going to call it femininity and not feminine energy, is not also, so it's not a uniform.
Right.
It's a blueprint. Mm-hmm. It's a way of being. It's not a way of looking or acting per se. It's a way of being. Mm-hmm. So even being feminine and doing feminine things is almost like an oxymoron because being is feminine and doing is masculine. But that's a whole nother conversation. Anyway, so let me get to my thoughts. There are a lot of videos out there. Here's the challenge is that most of them, and I think the reason why some of them aren't landing with people is because most of them are solely focused on, like Patricia said, either the external or just with men. Mm-hmm. And I have a really, really good friend, and Patricia and I talked about her before, that she talks about femininity from the way it affects all aspects of your life. And to me, femininity is very similar to like natural hair. You don't go natural, you return to being natural. So our natural design as women is to be feminine. We do have masculinity in us as well, just like men have femininity in them, but in the right proportion. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about before, so that when you do need to turn on that skill set for the time being, mm-hmm. or in certain situations, you have the skills there, but you just don't live there all the time.
Right.
And so I think the challenge with some of those videos is it's very external, it's very surface and superficial, and it's also narrowly focused about dating, which when you understand femininity in its truest form, all of that kind of falls in line afterwards. Mm-hmm. Like once you are back to your feminine design, your internal will start to reflect on the outside naturally.
Right.
Because what's happening on the inside, your behaviors will change. it sounds so like intangible, but am I making sense, Patricia?
Yes.
Um, so that's my thoughts without like doing a whole series on it, because I wouldn't say that I'm a femininity expert, but I have had, to be quite honest, very transparent, I've had to do a lot of work to return to my feminine design. I didn't just wake up one day and go, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be feminine. Let me be feminine." I had to work at the things that had got put on top of my femininity and pull those away,
Mm-hmm.
and then get back to my feminine design.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mr.
um,
asks, when you say external, what does that mean?
like physical, like, people will tell you like, oh, how you should dress, how you should wear your hair, the debate about whether or not you should wear makeup, you should get your nails done, you should smell good. That's what I mean when I say external, like the physical, like the beauty part of being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge with that is I know some women who wear their hair in a bun, bare face, very like, simply dressed and are super feminine. And I've ran into women who hair is laid, fried eye laid to the side, nails done, face beat,
There's
eyelashes,
feeling.
every new perfume, and are super masculine. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
oh yeah, hey, that's so sweet.
I agree. I agree with you because it's not just about the external, and that's why I said that. Because you can look like whatever on the outside, um, but because uh, men are attracted to our external, right? We can't neglect it. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't start there. It doesn't start there. Realizing, femininity makes room for masculinity. But if
Oh,
masculinity is sitting there, there's no room for a man, Not like Evelyn said, not just in this context, but they're not using their femininity, they're not feminine at work. You know what I'm saying? They're not, they can't, like we talked about last week, have good female relationships because they don't know what femininity looks like and feels like and living in it. They can't experience that. You know what I mean? Let's see. Evelyn, do you have a detailed video telling how to return to our feminine design?
I do not, but I will point you into the direction of several women who can. So, first one, I'm gonna if you're on Instagram, I would follow Feminine Success. I know her personally; she has helped me tremendously about returning to my feminine design. On YouTube, I do not know her personally, but her name is Monique Head, and she talks about feminine allure. Um, that will help you. If you follow Ashley Empowers, now she talks about it in regards to dating, but and from a biblical perspective about femininity. So if you're into that, she's on Instagram and on YouTube. And then, well, life coach Sean is more about dating, but she does touch on femininity in those interpersonal relationships. But those four women, whether up close or from a distance. And I read a book. Hold on, do I have it? Called The Power of Femininity. Read it. Also, another woman, this is the last one, her name is Gina DeVee. And she has a YouTube channel, all that kind of stuff. She talks about femininity when it comes to as it relates to business. So those are the women that I've kind of followed over the years. I don't have a detailed version. I mean, it's taken me years. So I don't know if I can condense that all into a video, but if I were to give you the Cliff Notes version, it was like I had a lot of healing to do, a lot of healing, trauma, and then I had to understand a woman's design, a man's design. I had to figure out what that looked like to me. It was a succession. So who was the first person I mentioned? Her name is Yaya Smith, but her Instagram handle is Feminine Success.
Okay, let me put that one off of there. Um, I think returning, as you put it, returning to our femininity will solve a lot of things, not only in our relationships, but in our life. And I can say I'm in a good place. I still struggle. I still struggle. I remember, was it last year when we were, I think it was before planning the wedding. And um, you had put me on a little challenge.
No, I put all of my friends on challenges, just FYI, but go ahead.
You just put me on a little challenge. I'll say that to help me. You know, a lot of us, especially as single women, because we're so used to doing everything and being everything to ourselves and to everybody else. Um, that again, we don't make room, right? But it shouldn't take a man to get you to see your femininity, but that should exist before he comes into your life. And so I thought I was good though on my feminine game. I was like, okay, I'm good until he came in, and I'm like, okay, you know, making room for him. I don't have to. Just like I didn't have to be friends with someone I don't want to be friends with. I don't have to bring the groceries in. I don't have to open the door for myself. I
For
don't
what?
have to drive.
For what?
I don't have to do any of these things. And it doesn't mean, and this is just like a little example, right? It doesn't mean I can't, because I can, but I don't have to. And like we said this on the phone the other, was it on the phone the other day, where
Quite a bit.
it was when you realize the man is the giver, right?
Come on.
Let him give. I had to realize this in my own relationship. Let me not talk about it before he hears me. I had to realize this in my own relationship, that it does him well to give to me.
It's his pleasure.
It's his pleasure, literally, to do for me, to make my life easier, right?
Hmm.
Let him do it. That's his masculine energy, right? And my feminine energy then is to receive. Receive. Let the door swing open. You know what I'm saying? Let him pay. Even though we're married and everyone's money situation is different. I hate to put our business out there, but very much so we have a very united front when it comes to money. That is our choice. But I still want to see you whip out the card. Even though I know my money is in there too. But I still want you to see you whip up because that is you that's your that's you exhibiting your masculine energy. And then I say thank you, even though I know my money is there too. But
Right. It don't matter.
you know what I'm saying? Like knowing and resting in that. That doesn't make you weak. That doesn't make you less valuable. You know what I mean? It makes you precious. He sees you as something precious that he wants to take care of. And there's a difference. And when you rest in your femininity, you know your strength and you realize that is your strength. And when you know your strength, Evelyn, you are you are cautious with it. There's certain things, because I know the power that I have. If I say I want something, I know he will do his best to give it. Sometimes I'll withhold that, right? Where it's like I'm looking at my things are handbags, right? I'm looking at these handbags and I'm like, ooh, this one is so pretty. But I withhold that because I know A, we can't afford it, and B, he gonna try to get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's me being cautious and me being responsible with my femininity because I know I have a good man who wants to give to me. Let him give. If a stranger wants to, let me help you put this thing in your car. Let him do it. Like let him do it. It don't make it. Let him do it. You know what I mean? Like femininity is strength, right? Don't let them fool you, yo. Like it's the key. Don't let them fool you out there. It is the key.
Major key. Is that what the young folks say? Major key.
Major key. Which part do you struggle with, Cynthia? With
Oh, I'm gonna scroll up. We have a has been you ever cost you an opportunity? Okay, answer that question first, Patricia, about the struggle part, and then I'm gonna scroll back up because Miss Model had a question.
oh, okay, okay. Let me see. Does she? I just wanted to know which part of it she struggled. Um,
Is it the receiving part? Because let me say this. Let me just drop this on y'all real quick, okay? Because this helped me so much. This is not even me trying to come as an expert because I'm not. That's why I was like, let me refer you to the women that had to help me, that I had to pay to help me. Let me just be transparent. I had to pay them to help me. But when I learned that my feminine strength is influence, or my feminine authority is influential authority, and men's masculine authority is positional authority, right? So I have influential authority, they have positional authority. When you understand that, and you understand that influence is a wand, not to make it about magic, but it's like you can't just wave that, like, you can't just wave that influence around. You have to be very careful with that influence. It's kind of like, let me take it out of femininity, put it in the job context. It's kind of like having a boss that makes you do stuff because they're the boss. That's positional authority. Or having someone who ain't even the boss but can get people to do stuff because they have influence. You need both, right? You need some people to be like, this is the law of the land because I'm the boss and that's what it is, but not in a controlling kind of way. But then you also need people who can come in and get stuff done without any kind of authority.
Right.
Masculine and feminine. So when I learned that, and then I started to see evidence of it in my life, I was like, you mean to tell me I done had this power my whole life and I didn't know it? And to your point, that's why I said earlier, I made the joke about witchcraft, because I was like, once you're aware, you're not reckless.
Yeah.
Right. Because then it does become manipulation, right? Where you'd be like, because here's the thing, and Patricia and I are both believers. And so if you're not, that's okay. But what I know is when the Bible talks about a man should love his wife like Christ loves the church, that he would die for her, that means he will give of himself until it hurts.
Yep. Anything.
Like, that's their natural design, is to give till it hurts. And so as a woman, I want you to have that bone, but I don't want to use it unnecessarily. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Was there a question you wanted to go back to?
Yeah, I'm going to scroll up. So Miss Model 927 says, has being you ever cost you an opportunity? I'm bubbly and positive, but very introverted. My narrative for years. So I missed out on various opportunities because it's not me to be outgoing and confident. Oh, girl, yeah. Patricia, you want to go? Because I felt like you bubbled up the way I bubbled up. I have missed out on some opportunities.
Yes. And I sometimes just watch it walk away too. Well, I guess it wasn't meant for me then. I'll hit it with one of those, right? But and we talked about this earlier in this live or whatever. But I really started to see how I need to start acting out of character. I need to start acting out of character, and that doesn't take away from who I am, right? I am an introvert. That is who I am. But in order to put myself in a better position, or in order to give myself access to a certain group of people or knowledge or clients, or I'm going to need to act out of character. I'm going to need to play the role. I'm going to need to network. I'm going to need to show up to places I probably wouldn't have showed up. You know what I mean? I need to act out of character in order to access, right? And to put myself in a better position. And so earlier on in the live, I talked about how this happened to me personally recently. There was like a social gathering. It was like a meet and greet that in my head, and I don't know if this happens to other introverts, in my head, I thought it was a good idea. Like, oh, this is so great, having all these people come together. And then I got there and realized I show up by myself. And I'm like, I thought this was a good idea. Like, abort mission, don't want to do it. I'm done. I'm leaving. Like, honestly, they had this Greek restaurant catering, and that was the only reason why I stayed, because that Greek food looked good. And, you know, I said, you know what? I'm here. Let me play the part. And so next thing you know, I'm talking to this person. Next thing you know, I see someone that I had met before, went and talked to him. And before you know it, I am talking to someone, let's say, who I look up to, right? Or I could look up to based on where she is and what she does. And next thing you know, I'm chatting up with her, and she's like, I think this is a great opportunity. Da da da. Next thing you know, she's like, what do you think about like maybe a mentoring program? And we're having this conversation, and she's like, I'm gonna shoot you an email. Like, let's sit down for coffee. Like, this happened because I decided to not let my introversion stop me from making a connection, right? And yes, it took a lot out of me. And later on, I needed to lock myself in my office by myself for a few minutes while I recharged. But I didn't die. I'm still okay. I'm alive to tell the story. So yes, it doesn't change. I mean, it doesn't change who you are, but there are times where you're gonna have to step out because I've missed some opportunities because of that.
Yeah, I would say the same. I did a video on my other channel some time ago about one of the biggest mistakes I made in my business. And let me just say this. I've had two different celebrities essentially try to hire me, but I was so quick at the mouth talking about what I don't do and what I'm not going to do, whatever, that I missed out on some opportunities. And let me just say, I'm not going to say no names, but one of them was fine.
That could have been your next husband out.
Single. And I was and famous and paid, right? And I was like, once the scene played itself out, because I was just being me, right? And I don't want to do that, and well, I'm not really into that, or da 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 da. And I was like, could you have zipped it, listened, and maybe made a slight adjustment to further yourself? And so I think the whole point of the original topic was this video is like, it's okay to be you, but it's being you costing you. And it has cost me, money. It has cost me opportunities. It has cost me exposure. And I'm not just talking in business, just in multiple areas. And sometimes your definition of you can be false, meaning that you think you're not ready, or not qualified, or not smart enough, or not good enough. Or on the other side too, you could be overestimating yourself. But in general, your you could be wrong. Mm-hmm. And I've experienced that too. So yeah, it's definitely cost me too. So yes.
We are at 1 hour and 20 minutes. And we said 1 hour. If there is one more question, we'll take it. I like Lisa James' comment. She says the moments we push through in discomfort, are usually where the deepest breakthroughs happen. I like that.
Yes.
If we have one last question, we'll answer it. If not,
and we got to get for the delay. But while we're waiting to see if a question comes through, I will say this. Part of being a feminine woman is embracing daily discomfort. Mm-hmm. I think people think being, back to that comment, I think people think being feminine is like running through a lavender meadow in a white lace dress. And that's more of a princess than a queen. And so that's all that we can say that topic for another time.
We're talking about queens here, not princesses.
Right. Different mentalities. And a lot of women, myself included, was stuck in the little girl princess mentality in a lot of areas of my life. So
can that be the next one? I like that.
Give us, there's something I want to read first. And then we can do that one.
Because a lot of us are focused on fairy tales, right? Fairy tales are for princesses, but we're queens now. And queens operate in their femininity. But that could be for another
day. Like, was this good for y'all? Like,
did y'all enjoy it? I really, really hope so. Where did my phone go? I really hope so. This was fun. Bringing you. I'm gonna have to go back and change the title of this video. And so I want to do it again. You know what I mean? And Can we do this again, Evelyn, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I would love to know if they have anything that they want us to talk about. I didn't think the feminine question was going to come up in episode 1. And so,
is there anything that you guys, well, if anyone asks a question, then maybe we can address that next time. Or any topics you want us to talk about next time as well. Um, let's see, hold on. Put that.
we do have a question.
A great escape. That's what we were hoping.
Oh, good.
That's awesome.
So is it Cutie5 had a question? Mm-hmm. You see that? It says, I came in late. How do you break out of the I am super content and God has all I need phase? I don't know if I fully understand the question.
Do you mean in dating? I wonder if she means in dating.
Right.
Or is it?
I'm like in other general. Yeah. Can you elaborate? I mean, maybe do you want to take that on next time, or do you want to just go ahead and knock it out this time?
Crystal said she took good notes. That's nice to hear.
Okay.
Angelic Impression says next week. I don't know if you, Evelyn, Monday. Can we just do Monday? No, okay. Or Sunday. People ain't going to church either, so.
Girl, you know what, you're right. Okay, how about this? We gonna discuss it offline. We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do while everybody's at the house. That way it's not on video.
Evelyn just hit me with the discuss it offline. Are you the discuss it offline chick, Evelyn?
Oh, okay. Content and singleness. Ooh, okay. Let me defer to my friend and ask her if she wants to, because I know she's very passionate about that topic. If she wants to answer that now, or if she wants to wait.
Let's do a little quick version. Let's do a little quick.
Okay, I'm gonna let you pop that off because I know you have the lots.
So, if you guys watch my channel, you know I have a whole series on singleness, and I don't like the messaging, and I think we talked about this a little bit last week too. I don't like the messaging it's God or a man. It's God or a relationship. You don't have to choose between the two. Marriage is ordained by God, right? Really ordained by God and designed by God. From the beginning of the world. And so that just shows you how important marriage is. And in many ways, it teaches us a lot about him and who he is and how he sees us. And so you don't have to choose. I feel a tangent coming. Ooh, okay.
Let it out.
Literally talked about this the other day. And I feel like the church, and these different social media relationship experts take advantage of this particular population, meaning single women, and the messaging is, do all of these things and spend money on this conference and this book and this thing and that, and do all this while putting relationships or the desire for a relationship aside. That can still ring true while you are working on your relationship with God, while you are seeing your therapist, while you are reading these books, right? Because there will always be something to learn. There will be always something to be grown, even after you say, I do. And so, snap out of it is what I'm saying, essentially. You gotta move out on it, because that mentality will keep you. And if that's what you want, then good, right? If you were like Paul, right? If you were like Paul and you like, it's better for me to be single, then cool. But if not, then you are not doing the things that'll put you in the position to be found. That's what I'll say about that.
Well, I'll just add a little sprinkle on that, and to say I was one of those people that fell prey to that messaging.
Mm.
So here I am at the age I am at, which we won't discuss how old I am. Did I get a pop on the live stream? I did. However, um, this goes back to femininity and masculinity. Let me say this: femininity is about the and, masculinity is about the or. And the majority, not all, but the majority of people who are spewing that message that you either have to focus on your credit or you're not ready to get married. You need to focus on your career or you're not ready to get married, or you need to have strong masculine energy, whether they are male or whether they are female. And so I think it's an and. I think if you look at history, people have been getting married in all stages of their life. Marriage was designed, for at least from a biblical context, for progressive sanctification. Like, that's why it's there. And so I think people have been trying to save people pain or avoid divorce by being like, everything that ever went wrong in any marriage ever, fix that before you get married. When the reality is, some things only manifest once you are up in close, intimate proximity to another person. I have a great friend who's a marriage and family therapist, and she was like, Evelyn, therapy is great. Therapy is this, all that. She was like, some stuff will not show up until you're in a relationship, period, at the end. You won't even know that you have it. And she was like, that is the beauty of part of what marriage does. So I do think, to Patricia's point, that the messaging is really skewed. I think maybe somewhere at some point, some time ago, maybe somebody's intent was like, oh, the divorce rate is high, let's prepare people. And I told Patricia this, I was like, ready to me is a mythical place. I think there are things that are good to have as a healthy adult. Okay, but it does not disqualify you.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of the messaging is almost like you have to qualify to be married, or you have to be worthy to be married, and it's like you were born worthy. So I just think it's some dangerous territory. I think you can be content and love your life and desire to be married at the same time. I don't think that only the people who want to be married are hate their life and miserable and have nothing going on. I think you can be having an amazing time as a single and still desire to have a
And
family.
I think you
So
hit something there, because she said I'm not sure if I'm self sabotaging because I'm living my best life without my Boaz. You can live your best life without someone in your life, right? Um, but I guess what I'm saying is you got to figure out what is it that you actually want. You know, if it's singleness that you truly desire, then live in that, grow in that, be in that, and do it to the best of your ability. But if that's not what you want, then you have to do things a little bit differently. Yeah.
and I think the biggest thing, to your point, Patricia, about knowing what you want is bringing me back to femininity. You have to be vulnerable enough with yourself to
Mm-hmm.
be really honest about what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think for a long time, I'm just going to speak from my personal experience growing up in the church, being in the church. I almost was like, I shouldn't want to be married. Like, it shouldn't be an actual desire. Like, it's not a bad thing, but I shouldn't long for it. I thought that if I did, that means that I wasn't either satisfied with God, or I wasn't close enough with God, or I didn't love my life, or whatever. And so the first thing that I had to do with some help, was admit, yeah, I want to be married. And that, or I've met people that have done that work and realized, yeah, not yet. You know what I mean? And neither one of those are wrong, I think, but it's about being honest. And one of the things I had to do was, to help me with this, I went and studied marriage. As a single person, I went and studied marriage. It does not make me an expert. It just gives me information. But once I did, I got a more realistic picture about marriage, not a super negative view for the people who are like, oh, marriage is trash, and not a princess, it's all roses and sunshine either. And then I had to come back and ask myself again, okay, now knowing what you have observed, what you've asked, what you've talked to people about, what you've read, whatever, is this something you still want to embark upon? The answer for me was yes, but I had to be honest enough with myself and not afraid that, what if it doesn't happen? What if I can't find the right person? Right? To say, yes, I want to be married. And that doesn't make me a bad woman. It doesn't make me thirsty. It doesn't make me a bad Christian. It doesn't make me a bad anything. That this is a natural desire. And I'm going to end my thought with this, particularly for women. When we got here, Adam was already here.
Mm-hmm.
We were never alone. Adam was alone. We were never alone. And all throughout the Bible, if a woman loses her husband or her covering, there is always provision in the Bible for someone to step into that role. We were never alone. And so once I realized, like, go back, people talk about Boaz, read the whole story, like, read it. I'm just gonna say we were never alone. That's all I got.
We gonna end it there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Look, follow us on Instagram, and that's when we'll let you guys know. You know what? I'll do like a YouTube post thing too, of when we'll do this next. Evelyn and I already talked about it. We want to do these, while we're home, right? While we're working from home and whatever. We want to do these just to provide a little escape and a little place for conversation while we're all in this situation. So I hope you guys are staying safe and that you guys are healthy and that you guys take care of yourselves and everything like that. If you appreciated it, let us know. If there's anything that you want to talk about, then you guys can find us on social and let us know what you guys want us to talk about. And yeah, so until next time, guys. Bye.